Two men, same dead-end street, both retired the same spring. Both had put away about the same amount, a little over $600,000, give or take. And within a year, both got sued. A fall, a lawyer, a letter with a six-figure number in it. One of them sleeps fine tonight. The other is sitting at his kitchen table watching a lawyer put his retirement money on the table. The money he spent 40 years saving, same amount, same lawsuit. The only difference is one sheet of paper he signed years ago. He signed it because everybody told him to. Now, the strange part, in the account he started with, a creditor could take exactly zero, nothing. He walked away from that shield on purpose, and he never knew he did it. So before you make the one move everyone calls the smart one honest question, why would you leave it? The second man has a name. Gene Halverson, 66, spent his life as a mechanic outside Sacramento, good with his hands, careful with a dollar, the kind of guy who reads the whole manual. Gene wanted one thing out of retirement, peace. Get everything in one place, get somebody smart to watch it, and stop lying awake doing math. His words, do it right, do it once, then sleep. So the week he retired, Gene sat down with an advisor, call him Doug. And I want to be fair here, because Doug is not the villain of this story. Doug was warm. Doug was sharp. And most of what Doug said was flat out true. Roll the old 401k into an IRA, Doug told him. More funds to choose from, often lower fees than the old workplace plan. One dashboard instead of a shoebox of statements. You focus on the grandkids, Doug said. I'll handle the moving parts. And honestly, for a lot of people, that's solid advice. A rollover can mean better choices and less clutter. It is not a scam. It is not a mistake. Sitting in that chair, it sounded perfect. So Gene signed. What Gene didn't do, he didn't compare anything. He never asked the one small question, do I even have to leave the 401k? And that wasn't laziness. It's that a rollover is the move everybody makes. And the move everybody makes feels like the safe move. Those aren't the same thing. Hold on to that. Gene had one other thing, a little rental duplex he'd owned since his 30s for the extra income. 2 units, one shared front step. He'd repainted that step the same hunter green 4 times in 22 years. Tried a lighter color once back in the 90s, hated it, went right back to the green. Life was fine. Gene had no idea those two things, the paper he signed and that green wooden step, were about to run into each other. For 2 years, he didn't think about that paper once. Then somebody slipped on the step. It was a guest. A friend of his tenant coming by on a cold morning. The step had a film of ice on it. She went down hard, broke a wrist and a hip. A few weeks later, the letter came, a lawyer, a demand with 6 figures on it. And Gene didn't panic because Gene knew, the way everybody knows, that your retirement money is untouchable. Everybody knows that. Then his own lawyer sat down across from him and said the sentence Gene never saw coming. In California, outside of bankruptcy, that IRA can be reached. Gene asked him to say it again. The lawyer walked him through it, calm and plain. In some states, California among them, a judge looks at your IRA and decides how much you reasonably need to live on. Your age, your health, your other income, whatever the court decides is more than you truly need, that can go to the person suing you. Not all of it, maybe, but it is on the table. It is in the fight. Now, Gene had heard there was some kind of protection, a cap, about $1.7 million. And there is, but that number only shows up in bankruptcy. This wasn't bankruptcy. This was a lawsuit. Different arena, different rules. That cap wasn't coming to save him. So Gene did the thing Gene always does. He turned the envelope over and started doing math on the back of it. And the question he wrote down wasn't, how much can they take from my IRA? The question was, what if this exact money were still sitting in the 401k I left behind? The answer, under federal law, is one word, nothing. There's a line in the law that says a workplace plan's benefits can't be assigned or handed to a creditor. And in 1992, the Supreme Court, in a case called Patterson v. Shumate, backed it all the way up. Money inside that 401k sits behind a federal wall, no dollar cap. Same in California as in Florida. A creditor with a winning judgment reaches in and gets zero. Same dollars. In the 401k, untouchable. In the IRA in California, outside bankruptcy on the table. Gene wrote a zero. Then he wrote a question mark next to it. He didn't lose the shield to bad luck. He lost it because he'd signed it away for free, and nobody told him that's what he was doing. Careful here. It would be easy to point at Doug and call him a crook. He wasn't. Doug didn't lie. Every word Doug said was true. But Doug earned nothing while Gene's money sat quietly in that old 401k. He only earned after it moved. And the one option that might have kept Gene right where he was, Doug never mentioned it. Not because he was scheming, because of how the whole thing is built. People don't usually hand you the door that puts them out of a job. And sitting there, Gene finally named the thing that got him out loud. I didn't get talked into a bad deal, he said. I just did the thing everybody does. That has a name. Psychologists call it status quo bias. In plain English, your brain treats the most common move as the safest move. They are not the same. The question was never, how do I protect my IRA? The question was, why did I leave the account nothing could touch? And this isn't a discipline problem. The safest option just happened to be the one nobody gets paid to put in front of you. Knowing its name is how you take the wheel back. So Gene picked up the phone, called the old plan, asked if the money could come back the way it went out. For someone already retired, the answer's complicated. Sometimes yes, sometimes not, cleanly. But that phone call is the moment the zero on that envelope stopped being a shock and became a to-do list. How Gene's story actually ends is calmer than you'd think. And that's the whole point. The slip on the step? Gene's landlord policy covered most of it. A cheap umbrella policy, the kind that runs around $380 a year for $1 million in coverage, would have quietly covered the rest. In the end, the IRA didn't get touched in this case. Now hear me. I don't want to hand you a fresh worry. For a covered slip and fall, in a lot of states, for most regular folks, this trap may never come near you. If you live in one of the roughly dozen states that protect an IRA fully, Florida, Texas, and others, a rollover doesn't drop your shield at all. If your risk is low and you carry an umbrella policy, your real exposure is tiny. And sometimes the old 401k has lousy investment choices or genuinely higher fees, and rolling over is the right call. Don't let a fresh worry freeze a decision that's actually fine for you. The horror in Gene's story was never they're going to take your IRA. The horror was that Gene gave away a free shield, got nothing for it, and almost never found out. Gene couldn't unsign his paper, so he did what he could, bought the umbrella, kept his rollover money in its own separate account and never mixed new deposits into it, looked up his own state's rule, and the biggest thing, a few months later, his brother-in-law mentioned he was about to roll over his 401k. Gene put his fork down. Hold on. One question first. Do you even have to leave it? So Gene's list is short. 5 plain moves. 1. Before you sign anything, ask it out loud. Do I have to leave my 401k? You've usually got 2 ways to keep the shield. Leave the money in the old plan or roll it into a new employer's plan if you're still working. 2. Look up one fact about your state. Does it protect your IRA fully, cap it at a dollar amount, or leave it to a judge's reasonably necessary call? And check Roth and inherited IRAs separately, because they can be treated differently. 3. If you do roll over, use a dedicated rollover account and never pour fresh contributions into it. 4. Ask the person advising you, straight and friendly, are you a fiduciary on this recommendation? And how do you get paid if I roll over? You're just finding out whose voice you're hearing. 5. Get the umbrella policy. It's cheap, it works in every state, but know its limits. It won't cover a business lawsuit, and it won't cover a fist fight. The lawsuit trap is real. But the smartest move in this whole story was the one that costs nothing. And it's the one Gene almost skipped because nobody thought to ask the question on that thumbnail. Why leave it? If this was useful, the next one to watch is how to check your own state's IRA protection in about 10 minutes. I'll point you to it right here. This is for education and entertainment only, not financial advice. For decisions about your situation, talk to a qualified fiduciary advisor, a CPA, or the SSA.